Warning, Shut Up Let's Talk contains some rad but heavy language and adult themes and may not be suitable for audiences under 18. Viewer discretion is advised. What up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, to episode 113. Hanging out with Ricky Roy tonight. Rico Roy.
What's up, man?
What exactly is, because the Instagram name says Ricky Roy, but then I also see your name is Rico.
Yeah.
And JC from the Throne billed you as Rico Roy. So
Yeah. So Rico is basically just my artist name, social media name. That's what people just call me from that. But
nice.
Ricky, just people in real life, they just call me Ricky.
That's what's up, man. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, bro. Thank you so much for coming on today, man.
Hey, appreciate you for letting me be on the show.
Man, you drove from way down the way.
It ain't that bad of a drive though.
Was it? All right. Well, you know what? I don't get out of the house much, man. So for me, I had to be on somebody else's show on Stuck in the Middle a month ago, and I had to drive 20, 30 minutes out the way, and it wasn't bad. It was just I was just stressing, and I was like, oh, this is kind of far away from home. I was like, I thank my guests, and that was just 30 minutes. So yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much, bro.
You good, bro.
So you are a visual artist. You're many things, obviously.
Yeah.
But the main thing, the Who is Ricky Roy page shows, just like wrestling, the shit that visual art, my man. And I love your style of art, dude. It's so bright.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I love it. Was that something you were going for? Or it just happened?
It just happened, man. Everything that happened with me when it comes to art, it just came. I was just figuring it out, and it just led to that.
That's what's up, man. The thing that surprised me the most, and we're gonna show some of your art in a second. You've only been doing this for about 3 years.
Yeah.
2017, right?
Yeah. That's
all right. That's kind of crazy. So really quick, I do want to show the people some Rico Roy art right here, and what I love about this, man, is what we were talking about, the colors, man. So this is what the people can see. This is one of your latest, right? The late great Kobe, unfortunately. That was a heavy loss, and we'll talk about that in this, for briefly in a second, because you come from a sports background, so I know it hits differently for people that grew up with sports and putting their time and dedication and your life into that, so that's got to be a tough one. Here's Baby Yoda. I love it. Love the background there too, man. Love that this nice textured effect that you got back here. This is super cool. I love it, man. What else we got? We got Juice World.
I like that one.
I love it, man. So everybody, feel free to check. Feel free to analyze. And what I love is, some of the shading. There's these brush strokes.
Yeah. That
kind of come off, and it gives it a really natural look. And I love that, man.
It took me a while to learn that, but
really John Witherspoon. All this great work, man. So just so that's. Everybody, now they're familiar with your art, man. How did you tell us a little bit about your background and stuff, man? How'd you get started with sports? Because I know that was your first passion, right?
Yeah. Basketball was life at one point, and then just transitioned into many other sports. But I started playing sports. At least I started dribbling a basketball when I was 3, but started playing organized sports when I was in 6th grade.
When you were 3?
Yeah, when I was 3.
You come from a sports family?
Nah, nobody in my family really plays sports. Just me and my brother, and just certain cousins. But
do you like to watch sports? Do they keep up with it like that at all?
Do they? Sometimes it depends on who's playing.
It's interesting. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out at what point. How did this happen?
I just fell in love with sports. I don't know how. I think it just came from Michael Jordan, Kobe. People like them.
Yeah, true. We did grow up in a nice time where we had these radical, well, I don't know. do you? I'm not a sports guy myself necessarily. Like I've always had an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
It's once you stop growing past 5'7", you're like, all right, man, this is. I'm gonna have to figure out. What I'm gonna do here. I'm about to build a personality now. Fuck. But
hey, we ain't gonna sham nobody under 6 feet.
But yes, exactly right. All heights matter. Oh, it's true. And what were we talking about? That sports, man. For me, I always had an appreciation for it because it takes so much determination. And here's something I want to. Maybe this is the first topic we can bring up. We could bring up for tonight. Thank you everybody in the chat for hanging out today. I actually forgot I should bring up the chat. Whoops. Let me
chat.
Yeah, we got the unified chat that should. I'll let that load up while we talk. And this actually brings up the chat from all the different places that we're streaming today. So cool. We'll see you there. Sports, man. What I love about sports and art is that it's like a yin yang to me. This is how I've always perceived it. Is that they both do something that each other want. Like, how do I say this? For example, like sports, right? Like emotions, for example, right? Art, most visual artists, musicians, whatever, creatives, they live in their emotions. That they reach inside there and they go to these uncomfortable places within themselves. But in sports, I can imagine a lot of coaches probably say, leave your fucking feelings at the door.
Yeah.
Put it away. Yeah. Like, unless it's going to drive you to be upset and that'll make you win, do that. But leave your emotions at the door.
Facts, yeah.
So growing up, in high school, because I used to draw a lot as well. And, in high school when I would draw, the people that used to give me the most respect were the sports heads, like the football team and basketball team, the wrestling team. They would always think like, this is sick because they understand discipline. But they were, I was able to channel it in that way. So, I mean, where do you fall into that, man? What was the sports life like for you? Was it like how'd you learn that determination and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I just looked up to certain people that were a little bit older than me that went to my school once I really started getting a little bit more serious about sports. So, I mean, just looking up to people, just teammates, looking up to people like, other athletes. I mean, I like a lot of athletes that inspired me to want to push myself to be great. And just wanting just to be better than everybody else too. I'm just hella competitive. So
that's good, man. That's good. That's one of the missing links that a lot of people don't have, and they don't grow because of it.
Yeah.
And it's good that you said that you respected a lot of your teammates. You looked up to your teammates. Yeah. A lot of people don't do that, dude. A lot of people are like, you're my age. What do I got to look up to you for? A lot of people think there's nothing to learn from somebody old, your age or younger. And it's a good open mind that you had for that, to try to pick up any good advice that you can. That's what I try to do in my life. I try to pick up any good advice and I just keep it in a bag,
Yeah.
And whenever I need that, I reach in and I realize, like, you should be patient in the situation, or you should, listen to what this person's saying.
Yeah, at least give them the chance to.
Yeah. So you started with basketball, then you moved on to track, right?
Yeah. What was basketball? Went to football and track. Yeah.
You went to football and track. Which one was your favorite out of the three?
I'll say I'll say football, but track I just had the most potential in that. So.
And which is your? This is now that we're just on this topic. What's your favorite sport to watch? Because that's
I guess right now I gotta say football, just because college football or NFL, especially NFL, just because I just got into fantasy football, so it keeps you on it. You gotta watch everything. It keeps you on your toes.
He's about to get consumed. He's gonna get consumed now. Yeah, man. I see these fantasy football groups, man. It's like the Illuminati, dude. I swear to God, bro. They start these. It's like Lord of the Rings. I swear to God, they're just like a banded group.
It's addicting, man. This is my first year. I won both of them this year.
Whoa! Oh, did you what?
Won both of them this year. First year.
You are competitive. You're already winning. You're already. I don't know how to describe that. That's insane, man. Jesus Christ. So, with track, man. So you went to college to do sports.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was that like, man? What was college life like? Where'd you go again?
I went to Florida State. Yeah.
How was that for you, man? How'd you like your time there?
It was it was definitely one of the best times of my life.
Wow.
I'd ever say, just overall, I grew as a person, because I grew up going to a private school, so to go to a public school like that, it was just completely different. So it allowed me to grow. I mean, I met a lot of different people, a lot of great relationships I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. Got to travel a lot.
Shout out to your shout out to your parents for putting you in private school, man. They were investing.
Yeah,
that's good.
Much.
That's what's up.
That's what it is.
Yeah. That's what it is, you know what I mean? But it's a beautiful thing, man. A lot of people don't focus on education, you know? Well, these days they do because, you know, we've kind of been brainwashed at this point. But, like, for us growing up, you know, like, private school, public school was a tricky thing, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of the private schools, you know, some of them were far away, and you had to drive further and wake up earlier and pay for it, and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, there was all sorts of different things. So when I see now that, you know, even my friends that have children put them in some sort of private school and stuff, I'm always like, you know what, good for you. Like, that's, you know, you're putting it in the right place.
I feel like at some point you gotta put your kid in private school
Yeah.
At a young, it don't got to be there for high school. I'm not gonna put my kids in high school, but at least in sometime in elementary school, they're gonna be in there for a year or two.
I feel you, man. Yeah. Well, you know, and maybe it's better when they're younger because I guess it teaches them this like discipline, you know, that you learn.
Exactly.
And then later, you know, because I went to public school my whole life, so you got to show love to public school. I went to nice places; they weren't so bad. You know, American Senior High, maybe not the best school. When I was there, they were doing okay. They were doing pretty well. They were doing. They used to be a bad school. It was ironic to me that there's like 2 windows in the whole school. There's like 2 windows in the whole place. No lie. Like, there's literally 2 windows. And when you're in one of those classrooms, you felt the difference. Yeah, like no light outside. Just no light and just cold. Everybody used to, like, there were these goofy rumors. It was like, this used to be a prison. Everybody was like, whatever, dude. Anyway, high school was a good time, man. So what was the college life like in Florida State, man? Was it, you know, are frat guys really that bad or what? Are they as annoying as they look in the movies? Well,
hey, I know some personally, so I ain't gonna say none, but
true.
Yes.
Hey, well, you know, it makes sense. A meathead will be a meathead, you know, and that comes in all forms and all shapes and sizes, and in all the groups. So, you know, there's a frat boy in every group.
Facts.
Doesn't matter, you know, what you're talking about. But that's what's up, man. Because, you know, me personally, I never went to college. You know, after high school, I just started working. And it's not that I'll never get education in my life. It's just I didn't want to go through the typical, you know, I didn't want to go through the typical college experience. Yeah. I figured let me pick up a trade or do something like that, which, you know, for me, I want to focus so much on the creative stuff that I'm just kind of like, how do I say this? I used to do a lot of visual art. Like, I used to draw a lot, right? Okay. And people in high school, especially, and people were like, you got to go to New World. You got to go to Ringling, all these schools, you know? And I was just kind of like, I don't want to compete for what I love to do. Like, not in a school level.
Word.
Out in the real world is something else, you know, trying to get clients and do all this kind of stuff. I get it.
Yeah.
But when you're in school, I was like, I don't want this to take away from my passion, because I use music and the show and everything is just like escapism. We get to like, we're blocked off, bro. The rest of the world doesn't even exist right now. Nice. We're in here just hanging out in this in this digital world. It's fun for me. It's fun for me, you know. If we could, all these walls would be like the Matrix, like just white walls till the end of time, you know. And it's fun, man. It's escapism. We get away from all that, and I didn't want that to consume me. But you went to school for sports, and then eventually, what happened there that led you to the art world?
Really just taking after I finished my track career and I was done with sports for about a year and a half, something like that. Stopped working out, stopped doing anything but partying, going out, drinking. I mean, I had all that free time, so that's
rock and roll, dude.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Why not?
And it was cool though. I mean, I'm not gonna. I definitely don't regret it.
Yeah, man.
It was fun. But
you didn't look sad in the pictures. No. That's hilarious. I feel you. No, I feel you.
A good time, but I mean, at a certain point, it kind of got old for me. So I kind of just got into this place where I was just like, what the fuck am I doing, man? Like,
damn. How long ago was that? At what age were you at that time? If you
no, this was what I was 22, 23.
Okay.
Yeah, like really close to, you know, to that point to where I wanted to draw.
Yeah.
And I met this one girl at the club, like one of the last times I stopped going to the club. Met this one girl at the club, got her Snapchat, and then I seen that she used to post up art all the time, and like that's like one. I remember that's one moment that really got my mind started about art.
Really?
And, yeah.
So she inspired that. So yeah,
she was part of it, and then there was also one of my other friends. She was posting on social media. I forgot what it was, and she would do like these paint sips, and like I remember one time I saw her do it, and I was just like, I know this girl personally. I know she can't draw. I know she can't paint. Like I don't know how she did that. If she could do that, I could do that. Like
what was it exactly? A paint what?
Paint sips. You never
what
heard
is
of paint
that?
sips? Like it's it's like a little social gathering thing, I guess. Like it's at like venues and things like that, and different artists like might hold a little event where they have a painting class and they might have wine.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, when you said painting sips, for a second,
Painting
I thought
sip,
you
yeah.
meant. I thought it was like words. With, well, no, I thought it was like where they paint and they drink the wine and all that. You know, I forgot painting with a twist and stuff. Is it like that?
Yeah, it's like that. It's
Oh,
like that,
okay.
yeah.
Those are cool. I think those are really awesome. Those build community, and I love anything that builds community.
Yeah.
Especially when it's for something creative. You know,
Thanks.
that shit's getting pushed out of schools and all sorts of stuff these days, bro. Like I feel bad for kids. You know, even visual art, man. Well, let me put a thumbtack on that real quick, but. What was the last thing we were just talking about? Painting sips. You starting your art, man. So I'm seeing it's very how do I say this? I don't want to say it's female driven by you, but I mean like both these examples were by women, you know, which is like, is it? Nothing wrong with that.
I never thought about that, but that's funny.
Here's it's a tricky topic. My only thing, because it comes off funky, you know. There's a lot of romanticism in art.
Yeah.
It's a romantic thing. You know, and what I mean by that is like when people say, you know, like the romance languages, like Spanish, Italian, French, you know, people are like, what do you mean it's a romance language? They're just languages. It's like, no, man, they sound a certain way. You got to know. Yeah. You know, some things come with the connotation, they come with a vibe. And art is one of those things, man. Art is attractive in general.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a discipline and it's a reach within yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's a test of, you know, this is what I've done. These are through my hands, you know. There's a very personal touch to it, and there's a lot to it makes the mind wander. And I love that. So I'm just saying, it's a very interesting thing that it started out that way, and it can be romance driven, and it can be and those things, romance inspires a lot.
It definitely does.
But
yes.
My time with visual art, man, the reason why I haven't moved on from it, because I still draw once in a long while. These days I do it more for the show or more for, you know, just little projects here and there, you know.
I need to see some of that.
Thanks, man. Well, I'll try, man. I'll try. But I used to love. Now I know you draw on your iPad, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What app is it, or what are you using on there?
Adobe. I've used Procreate every once in a while, but Adobe Draw is usually my main thing.
That's what's up. I've never used any, because, you know, the Adobe suites are pretty expensive, folks. So growing up, they were like these mythical things, you know, that you're either pirating it or you don't have it. You know, because it was like $1,000 per program. They really were. Like, I remember 2006 or 7, you know, at the time I was in high school, Adobe CS5 was about $9.99. Illustrator CS5, you know, Creative Suite 5 was $9.99. You know, $1,000. Then Photoshop was $9.99. Then everything was literally $9.99. And I was just like, yeah, looking at it as a kid with no job, you're like, oh, I'm gonna download that. and then you pirate it, you learn it.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm not proud of the piracy, but in a way I am, because you know what?
It had to be done.
Here's my thing about consumerism, dude. You know who sets the value? We do. We set the value of something. Apple may want to tell you, no. You know, this new iPhone, it is worth $1,500. You know, trust me, that's the value. It's like, no, dude. We set it at that because people will buy it for the $1,500.
Yeah.
If everybody was like, we're not going to give you more than $500, and that they sold 100 phones, guess what? Guess how much the next iPhone would be? Just take a wild guess. It'd be $500.
Yeah.
You know, we set the value. You know, the consumers, and it's another thing that makes art so cool, that it's, you know, the artist may say that, you know, this piece is worth so much, but it's really, as much as it moves the people, that's what's going to sell the art. And that is why I love drawing, and that's why I love visual art.
Yeah, it's subjective.
It's subjective, and it's a great foundation, man. And even earlier, funny enough that you were talking about the piano, because you messed around with music as well. Well, tell us a little about the music. Piano, guitar. What else?
Piano, guitar, saxophone too.
Saxophone, dude. Yeah. What? You're like the Renaissance man, dude. Like you're just running around everywhere.
Low key, man.
This is like the creative Olympics, all going on within you, bro. Like what?
Yeah, I always
just running to different spots.
Had different little talents I could do.
That's amazing. So how'd you pick up? I've never even tried a saxophone. Like, what is that like? Is it easy to play? Is it easy to pick up and just play?
At that time, yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, I was like 11 years old when I started playing the saxophone.
11?
I had already started playing the piano though. My grandpa started teaching me when I was 4.
Oh.
And then, all throughout elementary school.
Did you play a lot of video games as a child or no?
Yeah.
Yes, you did? How did you find the time to do all these things? I was too busy playing Donkey Kong still. Like, this guy was already playing piano and saxophone.
When you like them all, you find time.
For real. Yeah. And that is true for anything in life, folks. If you want to get better, you will make the time. Otherwise, the time will not make you. But because time waits for no one. That's amazing, man. So the sax, who's teaching you all the instruments? Or where'd you learn all that from?
I started off with the piano when I was 4, so that was my grandpa. And then the next instrument I played was the saxophone. That was when I was 11 years old, 5th grade. And that was just a music teacher at my school. And then I started playing the guitar when I was 14 or 15 years old in high school.
That's a great time to pick up the guitar. That's usually when we're at our angriest. Fuck yeah.
I was listening to nothing but Fall Out Boy and like My Chemical Romance and all that. That's why I started playing.
Are you going to be at these tours that they're coming back now? Are you going to be there? Not so much, maybe.
I don't know. I haven't been to a concert or anything like that in a while. I need to. It's been a minute, man.
I don't go to a lot of shows. I was telling you earlier, I don't get out of the house too much these days. I'm trying to break out of that. 2020, I'm trying to see the world a little bit. Right. Even if the world just means, down the street. Cause,
I mean, my world is my home and the gym.
Yeah, hey. Yeah, you're killing it at the gym, bro. I see, man, this guy's doing everything, bro. It's unbelievable, dude. You're like a ninja just moving around these things, dude.
I try to be as active as possible.
That's what's up, man. But you know what? Being active does really great things for the mind.
Yes.
Yeah. And a lot of people probably don't, even myself, who I fall in and out of these habits. Like there'll be times where I'm really active and I try to exercise and I actually keep up with it for a little bit, and then I just fall into a bad habit and then it throws me off. So I can say that I've seen both sides, and it's true. Being active is the best thing for your mind, dude. Is it your stress relief? Have you
for sure. It's working out, going to the gym is very therapeutic for me. Yeah, it allows me to get, especially when you're by yourself, working out by yourself, got your music playing, you're in your own world. You don't got to worry about nothing else but you and the weights.
What headphones are you using at the gym these days?
I use the Beats, the wireless Beat by Dre's.
That's what's up. They stay in your ears?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then I use the AirPods too.
That's cool. Do those stay in your ears too? Because that's the one thing that...
Yeah, they do. I got small ears though, so that the Beats have trouble staying on my ears.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Beats are an interesting story. I just, it's funny. I got to buy... Because I'm really, So I try not to believe the hype too much for certain things, So like when the Beats first came out, they were like, $1 million. And I was like, I ain't going to spend that on the headphones. And I tried them out at the store. Beats sound great for certain styles of music. Like for rap and hip hop, beats sound great because it. How do I say this to the people at home? Speakers, headphones, anything that you get is going to be tuned. That's why when you're like in the studio and they have like these monitor headphones that are like the big square ones, those speakers are actually set to like 0. Like they're set to like bass. Like how do I say this? They're set to like they're not too bright, they're not too bassy or anything. They're going to give you an equal sound, whether you hear it on a laptop or a phone or big speakers. That's what those square speakers called monitors. That's what they do. When you buy other speakers or headphones, they're like, oh, let's turn up the bass here. Let's turn up the highs here. They tune them to your ears to make it attractive. So that's the whole story behind that for everybody having a hard time at home figuring out what are they talking about. Tuned. And beats are great, man. I love them. I love them. The bass sounds amazing. Yeah, they sound really good. The only thing that gets me, they don't have a lot of highs. Not a lot of highs. Like when and that's. I make a lot of music too, so I try to look for these certain things, and it's in the beginning when you're mixing beats. mixing actual beats that you're making, like music. When you're mixing music, you forget those things. You just put the bass all the way up because you're like, I need the trunk knocking, dude.
Especially now.
Yeah. What are you listening to these days, man? Because I know you do so many paintings of musicians and artists and musicians and sports people. What's the right word?
Yeah,
athletes. There's a word for that, guys. Sorry. Yeah, man. Yeah, I was having and even I think I said music people. I'm sure there's another word for that. Artists, yes, musicians.
Musicians, artists. You're a musician, man.
Yeah, I should know that. I gotta get my vocab up. I guess here I'm just a talky guy too. I'm not a podcaster. I'm a talky guy. Anyway, but you do so much. What are you listening to these days, bro?
I've been listening to a lot of. I guess lately a lot of early 2090s slow jams.
Oh, good lord! Please name drop a few because I need to add more to my soundtrack, to my playlist for those, man.
You gotta get Lloyd.
Yeah,
Lloyd.
Oh,
Southside. You.
Okay. Outside of you.
Fire.
Keep going. What else we got?
Marcus Houston.
Nice. I gotta look that up, man. Some of these names are so familiar, man. Like I'm trying to go through these slow jams, like R&B slow jams. Man, just the other day I was going through these like YouTube rabbit holes and I came across Brandy and Monica, That Boy Is Mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I remember this music video and I forgot how goofy Brandy sounds. She sounds like this all the time. Like it's the breathiest voice I ever heard in my life.
But Brandy was fire though.
She was amazing. She was killing it at that time. I'm forgetting her other songs. I don't even remember what Brandy. I remember Moesha being bigger than her music career. Her music career was big though. Big.
It was. She was good at music. She was a triple threat. She could sing.
Yeah, she could
act.
Did you hear she ran over somebody?
What? So she can't drive. That's not part of her talent. All right.
You're not gonna see her on NASCAR anytime soon. Yeah. You know, it's funny, and I think this is a big reason why she's been so like under, low key, like especially lately. I mean, her career ended 10 years ago, but you know what I'm trying to say. I think about 5 years ago or so, she actually ran over somebody. She ran over somebody and she almost got charged for manslaughter and all sorts of shit, but then she ended up paying her way out of it, basically. A lot of people think. So it was some sort of crazy situation going on there. So, I mean, shout out to Brandy, Moesha. What's her actual name? I forgot her real name.
Brandy's real name?
Yeah.
I always call her Brandy, man.
I know it's Ray J's cousin, so.
That's Ray J's sister.
Is it sister?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they were cousins.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Sister, yeah.
Sisters, that's way too funny. Well, I mean, shout out to that. That was a great song. I remember some Brian McKnight back in the day. He was on. He had the music videos out. Good times, man. I remember BET Uncut was a good time.
BET Uncut, BET
Super
106 in Park.
106 in Park, man. Those were music videos back then were a good time, bro. Because I think I think we're lucky that we were in a time of such good inspiration because music videos, they really invested, You know what I noticed?
Back then, yeah.
You know, it's a really odd coincidence that I never, as an adult now, you realize, oh, that's what they were doing. Remember making the video on MTV?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I realized, man, they're documenting the making of the video. Obviously, MTV was probably behind it, so they made the video and then they played it on there all day. So they kept everything in-house, maximum profits. I just never thought of that shit, bro. I was like, and they would have all the hits, bro. They'd have NSYNC and all these guys making the video. Britney Spears. Mm-hmm. They did the whole bye shit, where they're dressed up as dolls and shit.
Popping too.
Yeah, man. Some of that music is good, bro. We grew up in a good time. Music is good these days too.
It is, yeah.
But
there's music for everybody. Like you can't say
there's too much
hip hop music in general.
In a good way.
There is a lot of music. It's hard to keep up with it. But.
Yeah. So 90s slow jams is on the playlist these days. What else you got going for? So I mean, as far as some of the artists you listen to, what do you listen to at the gym? What gets you?
Man,
that's always the Future always does it for me, man. I got
Future,
Future's one of my favorite artists ever, bro.
Future.
I love Future, bro. I'm a Future fan.
I'll say Young Thug over Future, but
Future's voice does it more for me. Because Young Thug, maybe he has got great melodies, but it's the voice. I don't know what the voice is, man. The voice kills me, bro. I'm always like, what is this? I'm like a Martian.
Right. His voice is an instrument, man.
It's like a flute. It's like a flute, bro. It's tuned like a flute. So it's crazy, bro. Because he's amazing sound, but just this crazy You know, and you know what's really funny? Is it Gunna or
Gunna?
You know, and who's the other one that's? Are they both signed to
Gunna, Lil Baby?
Yes, are they both signed to Young Thug?
Gunna is signed to Young Thug. Lil Baby signed to QC.
Okay, because one of them I always think is always Young Thug, and it's always the other guy. So I'm always like, they did the same shit.
They're always together though. So like,
yeah, it's a good combo. But what I love is what I really love about all that though is it's melodic. Yeah. They're not afraid to hit notes, man. That used to be a thing, bro. Hip hop head didn't want to hit notes for a long time. Like, we're not singing, bro. We're not singing.
And now you got to do it. Like you have to be able to hold a note and be able to harmonize and do all that.
I saw an interview with Birdman recently, you know, and he's like, yeah, back then I wasn't on the singing shit. He's like these days, you know, I really get on the singing shit. Like, okay, because you realize at least he keeps
a hood ass like.
At least he keeps up with the times. At least he keeps up with the times. Hey, hip hop is a young man's game, bro. It really is, man. They'll have you feeling old really quick. The people will get you feeling old really fast.
You know you're old when the people you fuck with are younger than you.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's funny, man, because I think about rock, you know, the rock world, and there's a lot of, how do I say it? Like, there's lots of new metal coming out, but not like that same kind of Fall Out Boy type stuff that we had growing up. You know, there's not really too much of that these days. Yeah. It's very interesting. I wonder how come rock can't make some sort of comeback happen, you know, and it makes me wonder, because you know what? A lot of this shit, this is not to get into like Illuminati conspiracy theories. I always say there's no conspiracy about big business. You know, a lot of people say the Illuminati's one thing and the Freemasons and all sorts of other shit. You know, at the end of the day, big business and corruption go hand in hand. There doesn't have to be an Illuminati. There could just be big businesses. You know, like they're gonna be doing all the fucked up shit anyway. So don't worry about it.
All the power.
They got all the power and they got the source. I know I've said this on the podcast before, but you know, Benjamin Franklin, who we all know, is on the $100 bill. A long time he owned the printing press, so he could print whatever he wanted. And a long time ago, he printed a fake story about Native Americans killing a bunch of people, and he printed it in the newspaper, and everybody read this shit, and they got so upset they went and killed a bunch of Native Americans. You know, and he set that up, you know, as like false propaganda type thing or whatever, you know, and. So I think about a story like that, and I'm like, this is a guy that was a part of, you know, he was smart enough not to be a part of the government, but he just hung out with them a lot. You know, Benjamin Franklin, which is smarter for his ass, I guess. Made himself easier to hide, I guess. Who knows? But at that time, I think about it now, and I'm like, the music industry obviously pushes agendas on people, and they push. I mean, there's always an agenda in everything, you know, and big business. We're talking big business, you know, when it comes to TV shows, reality shows. There's no coincidence that all you see is reality TV. It's not like people just ran out of ideas. That didn't happen, guys. You know, they push those things out because, and here's, you know, maybe this is something we talk about. What do you think about new hip hop artists being like the everyday people? You know, because to me, I feel like the rock stars kind of died a little bit. Thank you, my love. Would you like another beer, dude?
No, I'm good. I'm good with this.
Water?
I'll take water, please.
Thank you, love. You know, newer hip hop artists and newer artists in general. I feel like there's an agenda to make everybody look like the everyday person, somebody that you could be chilling with, somebody that might be your neighbor. You know, like I feel like back then, like a DMX, for example, right? Yeah. DMX, I learned he's like 5'6". I learned he's like super tiny, but you know, which I'm also almost that height. But yeah, but I heard he's. Thank you, love. You know, I heard he's not that tall, but they really, you know, he was in all these epic movies, and they really promoted him to be larger than life. You know, it was a really big. He was like, he felt like a rock star at that time when we were growing up. We're like, that's DMX, you know, like. I shouldn't even look at him the wrong way. He might kill me, bro.
He was a real nigga. Like.
You know what I mean? So. And even back then, you know, we had like, you know, in the 80s, people had like these Motley Crues and these Van Halens and all these kind of big bands that they were rock stars, bro. Tupac was, you know, huge, man, like seemed like a rock star. And nowadays I see so many people, you know, like, you know, R.I.P., you know, XXX Tentacion, you know. It's not just that he's down the street from here, but also, you know, he felt like somebody that you just see at the gas station, you know, when you're buying some fucking, you know, buying some water or whatever, you know. A lot of people these days, I feel like they try to build it to where everybody seems relatable, you know? Yeah. You think there's something like that or not? Maybe I'm just looking too into it. Like, you think there's still rock stars these days? Like anybody you could think of that's like Besides a Drake, I guess, you know, Drake seems like the rock star type because he's out there.
He's definitely a rock star.
Travis Scott.
So
there's some big names. Don't get me wrong.
There definitely is some big names.
I don't know. It's a weird question.
Yeah.
It's just a pondering thing.
I'm trying to figure out what is the question.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to say. Yeah, really. Maybe I'm just trying to bring up something and I'm just putting a question mark at the end for no reason. But really, I guess maybe I'm just trying to say that I feel like a lot of people are, you know, they don't look so larger than life these days. Like guitar players, for example, right? Okay. I see so many guitar players on Instagram these days that just post clips in their bedrooms. And once you see that so much, right, to the public perception, bro, because there's two sides. There's the creators and there's the consumers, you know? The ones that make and the ones that absorb. And then the ones that absorb, if we keep seeing people chilling in the bedrooms, chilling in, you know, the living rooms, are we going to think that these people are larger than life? It's interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Just like us. You know, these days you see a lot of people posting, and that's why I think it's smart when certain, and not deceptively smart, but interesting. It's a good way to market themselves. A lot of these bigger artists, they don't take pictures unless they're in nice places. They don't take pictures unless they're in a dope studio with the good lighting and the, you know, whatever it is, you know, because then they, you know, not to quote Lizzo, right? Fresh photos with the bomb lighting. Good. I'm just kidding. I don't know why I remember that.
Photo gets nice likes.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I guess I'm trying to figure out. I guess, you know, I'm framing it all to kind of say that it makes me interested in your art and to see where the evolution of Rico Roy's art is going to go, you know, through time. And I know we have the visual art now, but are you gonna, you know what I would love to see? Maybe I'll drop this idea in your head. You should do one of those time lapses, you know, where you've seen like and you just put a song by the artist that you're, you know, doing or whatever, something related to it. That'd be something that would be epic. I'd love to see. How long does it take you to finish a piece normally? Depends, I know.
It does depend. I mean, like anywhere between 3 to like 6 hours.
That's what's up.
Something like that. Yeah.
That was a lot.
If I sit down for straight, 3 to 6 hours. Yeah.
What's one of the longest drawings that you've done, if you could remember at the moment?
One of the longest drawings I've done. I definitely. Damn. Man, it's been a minute.
That's what's up, man.
It's got to be something from way back when I first started, because even though everything from when I started looks super plain and there's not a lot of detail in it and everything like that, I was still trying to figure everything out. So at that time, those pieces used to take me like 10, 12 hours to do, man. Damn. And I'd be looking back at it like, bruh, like this shit would take me like less than an hour to do, and this shit really took, it was just so hard to maneuver around the app and everything like that around that time. So like, I was really just trying to figure everything out. But
you look up tutorials, or you just learn by yourself over time?
I was looking up tutorials, and then I kind of felt like I kind of just have to just figure it out on my own, because I don't want to feel like I'm taking their stuff. I want to create my own little style. So
that's what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I used it to start up with, and that was the best thing for me, because I picked on it pretty quick. But
you got a cool mind, bro. Yeah. A lot of people's minds don't work like that. You know? A lot of people have to read the whole book. You know, or like, see, it's part 1 of 99. I got to see all 99.
Hey, man, I never liked books at all growing up, and so for me, I always try to find shortcuts if it came to book reports or anything like that. Hey, if I could go on Spark Notes, if I could get it from a friend, if I could do something outside of reading that book, okay.
That's what's up, man.
Do that. So, I mean,
that's mentality. That's mentality, folks, because, you know, it takes a certain mind to just kind of, how do I say this? You just want to execute the plan. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you know, I mean, you just want to know what your position is, and I just need to execute it. You know, and to me, I've been a lot like that too. Where, you know, I even learning how to use like the recording programs for music, or even drawing, or learning Photoshop and Illustrator and all that kind of stuff back in the day. It was just really, I just wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. Yeah. You know, and when I was talking to you, I was telling you through Instagram that I love vector art. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So I love vector art, and it's funny because what I realize now, you know, you draw it on the iPad. I don't know, is that vector art or is that bitmap? That's more like pixels, right?
Yeah.
How does that go?
A lot of people do call it vector art.
It looks like
it. Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just a mixture of different styles. I guess that's just the best way. It's not really just one thing.
Have you had a chance to mess with Illustrator yet, by any chance, or not?
Not a little bit, but not too much.
That's what's up, man.
I mean, I'm trying to, I haven't been on top of my art as I used to be, so I'm trying to, get back into that. But I still draw every week, just not every single day like I used to, which I miss because it was a good time during that time.
That time period.
I was just locked in.
I feel you though, but burnout is real. People do get burned out, when you do too much of the same thing too fast, and especially creative people, man. We need to fill up the bag and then we let it out.
You got to learn that as a creative too.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you just get so wrapped up in what you're doing for whatever reason, whether it's just like you're just trying to reach a certain goal of making it to be famous, or whether you're just doing it because you love it, and it's just at a certain point it's just draining.
Well, it's hard to
it's exhausting.
Well, who wants to stop a good time? Like when you're having a good time, you don't want to stop.
You might keep going too. Something great might come out of it, so might as well use that while you have it.
I agree.
It's hard to get it back if you lose it, so while you have it, keep going with it.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. I took a long break from the drawing, break, because I moved on to the guitar. Because I started, I drew up until high school, and then in high school, middle school through high school, I got really into the guitar, so I started getting more into making music. Really, when I was drawing, the thing with me is that I really wanted to create, and what I mean by create is I wanted these to be my original thoughts, my original designs, and I had a hard time doing that with visual art. I couldn't just make things, It takes practice, and it takes, there's more to it. If you can't make something, you got to make something. Like, how do I say this? Like, some people they don't know how to get better at shading. Instead, they they draw this thing, just whatever. They draw anything they can, and that'll make you better at it. To me, I don't know why I didn't want to go through all that. I just kind of wanted to make music, and I was like, you know what? I feel like this is my voice. I felt like I had a real voice through the guitar. So I played a lot of guitar, made a lot of music doing that kind of stuff.
I know that's hard.
Yeah, and I mean, even for you, man, I mean, going from sports and trying all these different things out, from the piano to the sax to the guitar to drawing, do you feel like drawing is that one thing that keeps calling you back, that you like the most so far?
Oh,
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I like being in shape, going to the gym. I love that, but there's just something about drawing that I love about it. It just allows me to really get away from people. Just be locked in, maybe get me some Henny or something like that. I don't know. Just get in my own zone and just create. Like, when there was a time when I was on that, like, man, that just brings back good memories. I miss that time.
That, man. That's I love that you frame it that way, because that is what it is. It is a beautiful time. It's kind of like when you look at a painting, or when you look at a picture, and you're kind of like, man, I remember that day. I remember the smell of that place when we were there. You remember everything, man. And that's what art does. It brings us back in time. What we're painting. And even it's ironic, a second ago during the beginning of the show, when we were looking at your paintings, we were looking at Kobe, and it brought me back to that just a month ago, or did it happen a month? Yeah, no, January 26th. Yeah. So, brought me back to that day, and I was like, man, like, so much time has passed. And I thought about, like, damn, what have I been doing since that time? Like, it just kind of, you see that painting, and it brings you back to that day that you heard about it,
It does what it's supposed to do. That's exactly what the goal is, just however it makes you feel, that's what you're gonna feel. But at least it makes you feel something, and hopefully it makes you feel something in a positive way. Yeah, that's all I go for.
Hey, you know what? Even art that makes you feel negatively, there's something to that. I'm not saying go for it, but there's something to it. Right?
Like I said, art is subjective. There's gonna be people that think your art's the best thing in the world, and there's gonna be people that's gonna look at it and be like, bro, that shit ain't shit, bro. That's really how it is. That's just how art is with music. There's people that think Beyonce is fine as hell, and there's people that think Beyonce looks ugly, bro. Like, there's just so many different opinions out there. Like, that's just how it is. You just got to be willing to take the heat if it comes at you. So.
And to absorb it, criticism is one of the most interesting aspects of art. Yeah. It's the one that we, I think, prepare for the least as actual creatives. Yeah. It's the one where we're like, oh, shit. And thankfully, I don't get too much or I don't really get a lot of you know, like hate mail or any of that kind of stuff, or a lot of shit talkers or anything like that. Not in public, at least. I never. I'm just kidding. But I don't get a lot of that, you know. And but I'm the type of person where that could never discourage me, you know. Thankfully, not everybody.
Yeah, not everybody.
I'm thankful.
Like
Somebody somewhere through, maybe I gotta find within myself why I'm like that. I think it's because I'm proud of what I do.
Yeah.
Are you that way? Are you like, no matter what anybody says, you're happy with it, so it's gonna be good?
Yeah, like,
who cares, right?
Yeah, I love myself. I'm confident in myself. Like, other people's opinion, I mean, it has no effect on me. Like, I'm still gonna live my life.
Hell yeah, man. That's what's up, man. And are you taking like commissions these days, or like if people hit you up and stuff?
Yeah, I still do commissions. I sell a lot of canvases and prints. That's
awesome.
That's mostly what I sell.
That's what's up. Where can they hit you up for those?
You can hit me up on my Instagram or my Twitter or my Snapchat. It's all Who Is Ricky Roy.
That's a brilliant name, by the way. Brilliant name, because I was thinking, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about that driving on the way home. I was thinking about your Instagram handle, and I was like, that's clever, you know, because if somebody is trying to figure out who Ricky Roy is, they'll type that into Google. And they'll be like, who is Ricky Roy? You know, I was like, that's good. I was like, that's good. I like that. You know, that's in a funny way. When I was trying to make the name of this show, I was trying to make something so like left field.
Yeah.
Then I was like, you know what? Shut up. Let's talk. I was going through an experiment with myself where I wanted to make a new show. I used to do a show about beer. Just a beer. Every week we would get 6 different beers. It was 4 of us, and we would talk about these and review the beers and have a good time. And after a while, I was like, I need a new direction.
Okay.
Because I don't care about beer at all. I like to drink it. I don't give a fuck how it's made. I don't care how long you gotta brew it. Just make it good and please give it to me. But that was it. And I realized I got to figure out a new name for this show. So then I went through an experiment with I never tried this before. So if you guys are looking for a way to find the name for stuff, try it out. Write any name that comes to your head on a piece of paper. Any. And I wrote like 30 names, dude. Anything that would come to my head. And then every day I would look at those names and I would say them over and over again. And I would see which one stuck out to me the most. And I would eliminate different ones. And eventually Shut Up, Let's Talk was the one that stuck out. And I was like, you know what? It says shut up, so I already got your attention. Yeah. It says let's talk, so maybe you'll think this is a show about talking, you know, which so I was like, maybe you'll realize it's a podcast. And it's also 2 different little opposites. It has 2 opposites next to each other. I thought it was just a fun way to kind of grab somebody's attention and get the point across too. Yeah. And Who Is Ricky Roy does that. You know, I thought that was so. Yeah. You know, I don't know if that's an art thing or what it is, but. You know,
hey, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you making the effort that you make, man. And that's a lot of people don't, dude. How do I say this, man? A lot of people are fucking spoiled these days, dude. A lot of people are spoiled. Yeah. It makes my mind boggle how people eliminate the hard work from the equation. How?
I think it's supposed to just come to them.
How, right? Sway? Yes. How? How do you eliminate hard work from the equation in anything in life? You know, I always tell people, don't think that I'm not trying hard just because I make it look easy. In anything in life. Because some people think you're not trying. I'm like, no. Just because making it look easy is the fucking, that's the reward at the end of it all. You know?
That means you got it by then. Like, you got it done.
You're at least trying. Like, if I make it look easy, that's a compliment. Thank you. You know, but fuck. You know, I don't know, man. It takes time to do these kind of things. So, I mean, how much, I know you said you took a little break from the art, but what's the next piece that you got in your mind, or something that you want to work towards, or something like that?
Yeah, I got a few. I've been listening to a lot of Tupac, so I know. Yeah, I have Tupac in my mind. I know I want to do something when it comes to that or Death Row, something over there.
You should draw a picture of Tupac popping champagne.
Tupac popping champagne, living a life.
You know what? Because for my friend's birthday, last week, I believe already, or 2 weeks ago, the gift that we got him was a bottle of champagne and a Tupac T-shirt, and the bag that we put it in said "Pop the Bubbly."
Pop the Bubbly.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? It was actually a bunch of different gifts that ended up working out all together. Anyway, but going back to the Tupac thing, that's what's up, man. So what'd you have in your mind though? Like, was it, you know? I don't know. There's so many. How would you capture them? There's so many good images of Tupac from back in the day that say so much.
Yeah, I mean, for me, one thing I love is whenever I'm drawing anybody, because I like to draw people. I like to draw faces. Like that's the type of artist I am.
Hell yeah.
I kind of like to capture people's emotions through that. But for me, one thing that I do like drawing on the people that I draw are tattoos. I think it's art on top of art.
Oh, that's what's up.
If you could do a tattoo well on whoever you're drawing, it just makes that piece pop out a lot more. So
it's so true.
Yeah,
the Chris Brown piece you did was amazing.
Yeah,
for that reason. Yeah, let me actually, really quick, folks, let me pull that up really quick.
That thing was cool, yeah.
Because that was, I mean, all your pieces are amazing, but man.
I never even get to, really, when you showed this earlier, that was really the first time I really got to look at my art in a while. I never used to look at my art after I posted them.
That's what's up.
I was just like, okay, I posted it, on to the next one. Like.
And this is the piece we're talking about, guys. Check out the tattoo work, man. Just awesome.
Yeah.
He did the whole piece?
Yeah, bro. Them tattoos took me a minute, bro.
Can I zoom in? I'm not too sure because I'm using a different thing.
Oh, okay.
But it does look really good, man. And the way, and ironically, if you guys can check out the forearm where he's bending his elbow, towards, the top, the shading that you captured along the forearm with the tattoos and the curvature, the way that everything's supposed to be. It's just, you nailed it, man. You nailed it.
Yeah.
I love the texture on the hat. The hat looks soft. I want to wear it. You know what I mean? Background looks great, man. So yeah, just killing it. And I can see why people think this is vector art because it has such a clean look. Vector art is associated with clean look.
Yeah.
And are you the type of person that draws? Because line work, the lines in visual art is everything.
Mm-hmm.
The thickness of the lines, how they tell the story. Do you? How do I say this? Some people's problem is that they do little strokes at a time.
Yeah.
And then it looks like barbed wire.
Yeah.
Do you work on just pause long strokes or what? what's the technique?
Yeah. Pause.
This is the part. The part of the podcast where we talk about strokes. That's hilarious. Different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends. Yeah, I'm like
depends on the piece.
I'm about to say it depends on the
depends on the canvas,
on the thickness of the pen or the marker that you're using. But pause. But damn, shit.
Can't avoid it. It's tough, man.
Yeah,
I said it earlier, guys. Art is romantic. That's full circle.
This is what he meant.
Yeah.
But no, exactly what you said. Like long, tiny strokes. That's all it is.
I'm too immature to not laugh at that, but yeah, it's true. It's true though. Oh man. Was his hat? Did his hat actually have the Nike logo upside down, or you just threw that in there?
Nah. So the hat actually, I think it said "fuck it," but I think it said "fuck it." But my thing is if I post things on social media, I used to be a coach for middle school and high school kids in track, and so I have a lot of high school kids in general that follow me.
Oh, that's what's up.
I just don't like to curse too much when it comes to post on social media, so I had to clean it up, and I figured
that's true.
Hey,
well, sorry, folks. I put a warning in the beginning of the show for a reason. So viewer discretion under 18 is advised. This is Ricky Roy after hours. After a beer too. So
only drinking one, guys.
Only drinking one. Yeah,
with water.
Yeah, with water.
Responsible.
So don't drink and drive, you fuckers. That's for real. Don't. I'm not going anywhere. But no, man. It's a beautiful thing, bro. Art is one of those things, man, that it's like magic to some people. Yeah. And it's magic to us too, I think. Once you look at something that you do, and I think you might even be surprised at yourself, and you're like, wow, I did that. Does that ever happen?
Every time. And mostly just because I've been doing it for such a short period of time. It's just
3 years.
It's like, damn, how the fuck did I just do it? I remember the moment after I finished this Chris Brown piece, I was just staring at it for at least an hour, just looking at the detail, just like, what the fuck, like.
And you know what gets me is that whether you're squinting or you see it from far away or whatever it is, or even if you look at just like a little corner of it, you could tell it's Chris Brown.
Yeah,
you could tell that it's him. You know, and that's the mark of a good portrait. You know, is that you got to be able to tell. To me, that was always the scary part. Yeah. You know what's really scary? This is back in my high school days. Drawing people live, like in the moment, and having that shit look nothing like them.
That's stressful,
bro. And having somebody say like, that doesn't look like me. Oh my god, bro, that shit'll send your heart right under somebody's shoe, bro.
Even while I be doing my own drawings like this, like I have like specific people that I'll send my pieces to before I post it up or anything like that, just to be like, yo, does this look like who is this person? Like, can you guess this person right here? If you can't, all right, I gotta fix this. If you can't know, but it's gonna be good. But
that's mad funny, man. So I mean, so the program, the app that you use, was it Adobe Draw? You said
Adobe Draw, yeah.
Adobe Draw. So does it let you work like in layers, like all the other programs?
Yeah,
and stuff?
It works in layers.
That's just there you go. So I mean,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure you know the difference between the vector art and the bitmap art. The only reason why I ever dove into vector art so much was the fact that you don't lose resolution.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the quote being, you could stretch it to a football field and it won't lose any quality. I was like, I'm going to need to do that. Yeah. But it doesn't look the same either. Can't get realistic brush strokes through vector art just because they're not the same. So each has its own beauty, you know? I guess... My thing about vector art also, you know, it's really, how do I say this? It looks good on T-shirts, and you can always resize it later. My memories with Adobe Illustrator are very fond. You know, I love it because to me that was a big time for me when I was growing up, and you know, I was in high school learning how to do these programs. I used to look up tutorials all day on YouTube, and YouTube in 2007, 2006 was a very different place, guys.
It definitely was, man.
There was nothing on there really. It wasn't that big at that time.
You had a few people.
Yeah.
A few people out there. I remember like Wiz Khalifa Day to Days.
Yeah. Oh man.
He's one of the originators of vlogs, man.
That's
like,
what's up, man.
Him, Timothy De La Ghetto.
I'm a big Currency fan.
Yeah.
You know, and Currency and Wiz and stuff. They used to do a lot of vlogs back in the day, and they used to do a lot of behind the scenes stuff. That's how they built their fans. I thought that was the smartest thing about them, is that they made people feel like they really care about the listeners. Mm-hmm. You know, especially like, you know, Wiz and Currency and all that kind of stuff. I love that kind of. I'm a big Crit fan. He's my favorite.
Yeah,
Big Crit.
I've seen that.
The video today. Yeah. I don't know. I was doing through all these songs. I was like, you know, that seems like a good. I was on a big Crit kick lately. He's one of my favorite. But growing up, listening to those mixtapes when he came out with Crit Was Here and he came out with Return to Forever.
Yeah, his older stuff, I messed with all his older stuff. I haven't really
bless you.
been on his new shit.
Yeah, you know, I love you, Big Crit. I do. But man, some of the newer stuff, I don't know why it doesn't hit the same. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I think just, I mean, really what it is.
Because I think he was like dead broke at that time. That does something to you, man.
That drive, that hunger.
Yeah, bro. And you know what? And it's not just where he was. Bless you. He was dead broke. I remember he was saying that with Crit Was Here, that was actually his album, that he was either going to put this out and it was going to do well, or he was going to give up and get a real job. Yeah. And then it ended up doing really well, so he continued. But I think it was also where I was in my life. I think that came out when I was 22, 23.
Okay.
You know.
When did that come out?
2012 or something. 2011. Okay. No, maybe 10 to 12. I think something like that. 2010 to 12. One of the. I keep slapping my fucking thing. That album was big for me, man, because I was living in a state I didn't know anybody. You know, I was living in Virginia at the time. I didn't know anyone. You know, I was going through my own money problems and trying to support, you know, myself and my family and do all these kind of things, and just had to make the big boy moves when I was still wearing the little boy pants. You know, and it was hard, bros. You know, it was hard adjusting to that and realizing that people depend on you. That's hard, bro. You know, when you're young and still trying to figure it out, and then you realize now you got to pay the bills. You're like, oh shit, you know, what am I gonna?
Fun goes away.
Yeah, the fun does go away, man. And I really dove in. The fun goes away, but you know,
just a little bit.
We find a way.
Not all the way. Not. Yeah. Let me change that. That sound all the way bad.
No, it does.
Just a little bit, but like you. Like, what's more fun than being able to take care of the people that you care about? Like,
absolutely,
knowing that they're good. Yeah. It's the reward, how it feels. Like,
And everything is a
knowing that-
balance. Everything is a
Exactly.
balance, folks. I was thinking about this earlier today. A friend of mine was talking to me about balance, about, having to struggle for what you believe in and stuff. And I was thinking, all right, well, I was thinking about it in my head, like in a chart, like on two sides, Imagine you got two sides of a chart, and it's like a weight, you got to balance it, right? Like the teeter-totter. Now imagine having millions of dollars and being at a big level, right? That's a heavy weight on one side, and you got to figure out ways to put enough weight on the other side.
Yeah.
And you got to struggle you got the good side on the other one, and you got to stack up enough bad times and keep stacking them up until they get so heavy that eventually one will outweigh the other, and you'll be able to reap that reward from the good side. You got to kind of balance everything out. It always reaches like a middle point.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it takes, guys. You got to go through the bullshit to kind of reach the other side. And,
like we talked about earlier, it's never easy.
Yeah, and it's not supposed to be.
It's not.
If it was, it'd be boring.
Exactly.
The people that you've grown up around that you get spoiled and get sheltered and don't get to do any of the kind of things, they don't get to make mistakes. They don't get the chance to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Those people don't have much to say.
Yeah.
And
then they learn later in life, and it might hurt. It might hold them back in a big way. I mean, you never know. Everybody's different, but
yeah, it's not saying you have to struggle to be great.
Yeah,
but it's a good practice.
Yeah, it's something good to learn at a young age.
Yeah, and practice is everything, man. And don't get me wrong, practice is everything. But once you really fall in love with what you're doing, it doesn't even seem like practice. You're just doing it. Like, I don't think you ever looked at it as practice.
It's not supposed to feel like a job or anything like that. It's just second nature.
I agree, man. So what's the future for Rico Roy, man? What do you see yourself doing in the future? Like, do you see yourself moving to a different, like, ever doing videos or doing different, like, do you see yourself trying other avenues of creative art, like, versus instead of just visual art or anything else? What?
For me, I wanna be able to hold my own art shows. That's my biggest thing. I want to be able to hold my own events yearly and make it a thing, and have other creatives to be a part of it. I like it. That's the goal for me. So, but the first thing is I do want to get involved in more art shows just in general for myself now, just because, I do miss that side of art, being able to get out from behind the phone and computer screen and showing face and meeting people face to face and actually talking to people and seeing how your art makes them feel in a moment, like right then and there. I miss that part of it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, really just getting more involved in art shows, and soon, hopefully within a year or two, less than 2 years, I can hold my own art shows.
Absolutely, man.
Events, man. That's the biggest thing. Be able to break in other artists and give other kids a chance.
Well, I'd love to help you figure that out, man. I mean, before you start your own, would you be willing to be a part of other shows down here? Because I know I have some friends that do their shows here, and they have pretty good turnouts, and they always post from the events, and they always seem to be having a good time.
It doesn't even matter about that. That's the one thing I learned about art shows. It doesn't even matter about the turnout. You just got to be able to get out and just at least make an attempt to show your art in front of people in person. That's the biggest thing, because that's the one thing I learned about art is, because for me, sometimes I'm very introverted, but I am a people. I could get along with anybody. Like, that's just how I am. But for me, I didn't know that when it comes to art, there is that side where you have to be
the people person.
Yeah, you have to be the people person.
It's the hardest part. For some people.
It was, for some people it was. For me, it took a little adjusting, because at that time I was just so much to myself, so like I just got so used to it. But no, like,
totally
there is that side to art, and I do like that side of it now. Like, it's dope. I miss that side of it too. So
it's fun when you realize that the people believe in you.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when people are still in the beginning, when you don't know where people are coming from, it can be a little a little daunting, but over time, once you realize that people mess with you and people give you compliments and they kind of let you know, like, hey, we're on your side. You're like, oh wow, like, that's great. Like, I didn't, it just, I don't know. We don't make art just for ourselves. We show it to the world so it can be looked at.
Exactly.
By more than just us. And when people give you that confirmation, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you, man. And I have like I was saying, I got a lot of buddies down here that throw some really cool events that I just learned of within the last year, and I was like, man, I should have been hanging out at these places too. So there's a lot of good stuff, and a lot of them are. I got buddies that have their clothing company. Shout out to Mash Company. Shout out to Major Leaf Cigars. They're all hanging out at these spots, and they're showing themselves off, and they're getting a lot of love. So I would love for you to be a part of that too, because they're doing good stuff. Yeah, and
I'm definitely down for that.
And your art would be great, and I think your art will reach a lot of people, because the people that go to these events, I know they would love your art. It's a fact.
For sure. Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah, I make some great shit, man.
Yes, you do.
I'm at the point now where I'm confident enough to just say about my shit is fire, man.
It is. No, it is, man. It's got your style, bro. It's got your style. And at this point now, if I were to see any of your work anywhere else without you next to it, I would know it's from you.
You were.
I wouldn't even have to look for the tag. I'd be like, oh, and if it was somebody else, I'd be like, what? You make art just like them, just like Rico.
Word.
So, no, I'm happy for you, man.
Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
You done a lot of podcasts, man? I know you were on JC's The Throne.
Not yet. JC's The Throne. This is my second podcast.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you like it?
It's dope, man. I like I said, bro, I like coming out and just having dope conversation, man. Like, that's what it's about, so that's what I appreciate about it.
I appreciate you coming all the way here, man.
Man,
we're already almost an hour and a half into the show. Can you believe that?
Oh, for real?
Yeah, time already.
Bro, time flies every time you. It flew over with JC.
Yeah,
with you right now, bro.
I love it, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. What I love about it is that discipline is a word that seems to be getting lost over time.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. A lot of people feel like there's no room for discipline.
Yeah.
Don't beat your kid. Well, don't abuse your kids. But discipline is something else. Like, it's like, now if you even yell at them, it's like, well, lower your voice. It's like, no, man, I'm fucking pissed off, bro. Like,
we grew up in a different.
Yeah, what you mean?
What?
Whisper. What do you mean? Whisper that I'm pissed off at you? What the fuck? That's not how that works, man. I'm not gonna put hands on you. What the fuck? Just let me express myself. When you block expression. What annoys me is that I feel like a lot of these days, a lot of children don't understand. If your parent keeps letting you, how do I say this? Without discipline, the child might not even realize how much the parent cares, because the parent has been so afraid to show it.
Mm-hmm.
One time, my little niece, she was 3 years old. She was walking down the stairs, but backwards. And I flipped out, you know what I mean? And I was just like, what are you doing? And I had to like yell at her, and then she was crying and stuff, but I was like, and I had to explain to her.
Yeah.
I was like, do you realize that if you fell down, we would all be super sad?
Yeah.
And then she got it. She understood,
Right.
And it's not like I feel like yelling at you. It's like, I got to make sure you, and she never did it again, thankfully.
Yeah.
But she had to we had to have that little moment, So discipline, in general, guys, don't be afraid to add it to your life. And you're not somebody, and I feel like you're not afraid to embrace it, and you've embraced it your whole life.
Yeah.
Even today, you showed up, like the GPS threw you off time, but you'd have been here perfectly on time. You offered to be here early.
I had it planned to be here early. I hit traffic. Then I got GPS took me to a whole other place.
No. The intention was everything, and it was funny because I told the lovely Claudia. I told the lovely Claudia before the show. You could tell that he grew up around sports because he's not afraid to show up on time. he like that's something, because I know a lot of coaches, man. You show up late, extra laps. You show up late, you're getting worked for that. And just I think there's nothing wrong with that, man. Discipline is good, bro.
Yeah.
So I mean, shout out to you, my man. I love your art, bro. Thank you for coming by today, man. So where can they follow Rico Roy at, man?
Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. That's my main thing, and Snapchat at Who Is Ricky Roy.
Who is Ricky
Follow
Roy?
Boy.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow me, it's at Alazar Chan. If you guys want to follow the show, it's at ShutUpLetsTalk all over the interweb, the webosphere, the globus, whatever. In the meantime, folks, we will catch you on the flip side. Love, peace, chicken grease. Look both ways before you cross the street. See you later, folks. Oh, no, I gotta add that. To my thing next time. That's a good